everyone. Nami here, life enthusiast, here with Kristin Livingstone. She is a writer here based in LA, and she's here to talk to us about online dating. She just recently wrote an article that I think everybody would benefit reading, whether you online date or not. Maybe you're planning on online dating, which is called How Not to Be a Dick While Online Dating. You can find it on XO Jane. This had come from a Craigslist post that she wrote entitled Free Online Dating Consultations. It's free, dog.
And nobody's contacted me.
Come on! It is not only verbally amazing, but also a visual feast for the eyes.
My dog is involved.
Yes. Drop in a Bowser right here. Ready, dog?
I think I'm ready.
So, Kristin,
Yes.
when did you realize people weren't online dating correctly?
Since the beginning of time. I don't unsubscribe from people that annoy me. This is on Facebook. I secretly like to rage. There was just one week when everyone was just saying like dumb shit about online dating. I got angry. I met my husband online, and I don't think I'm like super special.
She's super special.
Well, no. It's not rare that you can find someone great online. And they were bitching and complaining in really boring ways. I know these people in real life. I don't have any bad feelings towards them, but they were just coming off, especially the women, super bitchy and weird. And I was like, you're not that bitchy and weird. And I got really angry, and I was like, okay, I should try to do something productive with this rage.
It was a bad week for
On
online
Facebook.
dating on Facebook.
Sorry.
Something wonderful came from it, right? You need to go look at this Craigslist ad.
Check it out.
So let's get into the nitty-gritty of online dating.
Yes.
Do you think online dating styles differ from location to location?
Yes. And this is where, I'll admit, I kind of feel like maybe I'm a little bit in over my head in terms of giving advice, because I met my husband while we were living on Cape Cod, which is super tiny. There are a few fish in that sea. Whereas LA, you have the pick of anyone and everyone. So I think that can make online dating in at least Los Angeles, and I assume places like New York City, pretty hard.
A lot of options.
Yeah. In the LA online dating scene, everybody's involved in the industry, is trying to get into the industry, and that creates what I think is kind of a very weird cloud over the romance situation, because they'll have ulterior motives and stuff.
I love you, tell me about your agent.
Tell me about your projects.
What are you working on?
I feel there's LA specific, certain industry specific advice that
Okay, no, that
could be given.
That makes sense.
Honestly, I think it's easier if you're in a small town.
Go move to a small town now.
This is super specific. But if you live in a college town, that can get difficult, because you tend to end up only seeing the same townies. And you find out that everyone in your house has dated the same guy, and it gets really gross and weird.
So how about age?
I think the ideal age in terms of free online dating is early 20s to late 20s. When you get sort of above that age range, I can understand going to a paid site. That's how my aunt met her husband, on Match.com. I personally would never pay for it. I wouldn't do that as someone who has a lot of social options and opportunities to meet new people. I wouldn't pay for it. I've talked to some of my female friends who are still in undergrad. There's a certain weirdness and stigma attached to that. Why are you going online dating when you go to college and should be meeting new people? Maybe you go to an all-women's college like I did, and that's why you did it at age 19. I don't want to condemn that, but I will admit that there's a stigma there in that case.
As Kristin mentioned, her husband Dave, lovely fellow. Hi, Dave.
Love Dave.
Met Dave on OKCupid, of all places, where people think it's kind of the cesspool of online dating.
Yeah, super skeevy, gross.
What I want to know is what he did right on his online profile and what he did wrong. They're married already, so it's fine.
Yeah. So what he did wrong is listen, if you have tattoos, great, good for you. He had in his profile, I have tattoos and I'm looking to get some more. And I feel the type of person that goes out of his way to say that he has tattoos and is looking for some more is not the type of guy that I personally would initially gravitate to. His profile also featured a lot of talk about weightlifting. I'm not into that. I have really mixed feelings about this, because I used to say before I met Dave, I was any guy who, if it's all self-taken photos, he's a total creep. because it means that he has no friends. It means that he doesn't socialize enough in the real world or doesn't have friends that like, you know, like take pictures of things. So there's something wrong with him. I could tell, like Dave's photos, you could tell that he tried to make them look like, oh, a friend took this. Mm-mm.
Oh wait, is that worse? Is that worse
clearly,
when you try to make it look like someone else?
No, but it kind of is. If it's a selfie, just like
taking a selfie,
right? Like just own that it's a selfie. Then he pointed out to me later, and this was a really good point. If a guy has a lot of guy friends, guys don't exactly walk around taking pictures of each other.
Ooh, good point.
See, that's a selfie. Anyway.
God, I look like a clown.
And then, if you're a relationship type of guy and you've gotten out of a relationship, a lot of the pictures of you are either with your ex-girlfriend, with her friends, with her family, with your family together, or taken by her. I don't think anybody should have like any aspect of their ex involved in any of their photos. But what he did right, he was funny. He didn't say, I like to have fun, I'm a funny guy. Like he just wrote things that were actually funny and seemed like this is someone who does like to have fun in the real world. This is like super specific, but he used vocabulary that, like he said in one of his interests is participating. And like that was just like a one word, one sentence thing, and I was like, oh, I get who that is. Like that's someone who's like civically engaged and like he's a journalist and like he volunteers. Like okay, that makes sense, and it's not, you know, in this super showy way. And I was like, oh, okay. So like even though he's weightlifting, like you know, even though I have like weird hangups about that, he's someone who has substance and isn't trying to shove it down your throat, and I like that a lot. And like, Dave's good looking. Like, that's another thing, too. Like, that's what I don't want to say, like, that's what he did right, because, like, you're sort of born into that. And he works for it, obviously, in weightlifting. But, yeah, I mean, if you're attractive, that helps a lot with online dating.
But think about the first two things. Be concise, use good vocabulary, and instead of talking about how you like fun, write in a way that shows that you like to have fun.
Yes. Show over tell.
That was a good one. Top 3 things people do wrong in their profiles.
Can I extend this to just online dating behavior in general, like messaging?
Yeah, sure.
Like, don't compliment people on their looks.
Oh, there you go.
Like, just don't do it. I know that sounds like really counterintuitive. Like, if you're a guy, you're thinking like, oh, if I tell her she looks pretty, like that's a good sign. It shows I'm interested. Like, it shows I respect her because I'm not calling her anything vulgar. Like, pretty is a really like inoffensive word, but just don't do it. That's not a conversation starter.
Yeah, did you read my profile?
Yeah, and like, would someone go up to someone in the real world and be like, "You're pretty"? Like, you ever talk to
God.
you? Not even like, "I'll buy you a drink." Like, nothing. You wouldn't do that.
You would run away.
This is like a misconception that a lot of my lovely male friends that I love to death have, which is that they think that they're these special creatures that can see the beauty in women that other men can't see, when these girls are obviously beautiful. Like, if a girl is pretty, she knows that she's pretty. I just don't think that leading on a physical compliment is just, it's never a good idea for either gender or either situation. Okay, I should clarify. It depends on what you're looking for. Like, if you're
This is serious online dating, people. We're talking about you want to find a mate.
If you're looking for like a hookup or whatever, I don't, that's not personally my expertise in the online dating sphere, so maybe that is the way that you do that. But
we're talking about serious online dating.
Yeah. So, don't lead with a compliment.
Okay, so that's one.
Don't have a basic ass profile.
I like having fun.
I love to joke around. I love travel. I love food.
I love life.
Oh my god, I love life. I love living life.
Wait, I'm a life enthusiast. Crap.
Oh no, that's different. That's different. But like that's super vague. Like, what does that mean? It doesn't mean anything. A big don't is don't have generic ass words in your profile. Do a scan of your profile. If there are no proper nouns, you're doing it wrong. You want your profile to be a conversation starter. You just have proper nouns. Number one thing people do wrong is they make their profile about what they're looking for and who they're looking for, rather than an honest, genuine self-reflection.
Ooh, that's a good one. That is a really good one.
The college application process is sort of the only time in life when you are explicitly told, like, okay, you need to think about who you are and how you present that to other people. And I think online dating is that second opportunity. You need to take the time to really reflect on yourself, what you bring to the table, what your faults are, how you're working to fix those situations, and how you can present that in a way that will attract other people. You need to be thinking about you, not about idealistic 6'2" guy you're trying to get. If you have self-awareness and you know who you are, you're gonna attract the right people. If you don't know who you are, you're not gonna attract the right people.
Bam!
Done.
3.
Done.
Okay, so wait, let's review. Number 1.
Don't compliment people on their looks.
Number 2.
Don't be vague.
And number 3.
Self-reflect.
Make it about you, not about what you want. What would you say that the 3 pros and the 3 cons of just online dating are?
Period. The pros are that, I hate when people use this as the primary reason, but if you're a busy person, if you're in school, or you have a job, or you have like a lot of friends, or you're really involved with your family, like you don't have the time necessarily to be roaming around at bars and clubs and what have you.
Or you don't drink?
Yeah, or you don't dance. Like
whatever, you can dance.
No, yeah, it's an opportunity to save some time. Your profile's always out there in the ether. Like no matter what you're doing, you're kind of dating. This one's a little like shallow, not elitist, but I personally really connect with people who are really good at communicating. Mm-hmm. So when you're dating online, you get a sense of, can this person articulate their thoughts in a really clear manner? Is this person smart? Is this person, genuinely funny? Whereas I think when you're meeting people immediately in the real world, they could be really good looking and charming, but then you find out maybe like 3 or 4 dates down the line that like, oh, they don't know how to spell. You can figure out if online dating a lot quicker. 3rd pro. Oh, it's fun. Like, yeah. It's like, okay, there's a real thrill in just being drunk on OKCupid and like shooting the shit with like random people that you're probably never gonna meet. I'm not saying leading people on, like that's weird and mean, but just like, I feel like I met a lot of friends. This guy that I dated for like a really long time, it was a really serious relationship. We met on OKCupid and just had like an instant messaging friendship for 6 months before we actually met and ended up dating. But yeah, I mean, it's fun. It's a great way to meet interesting people.
Okay, so 3 cons of online dating.
I think a lot of people approach it thinking it's going to be easy. Like this is where all the desperate losers go to find whoever. It's going to be like shooting fish in a barrel. Like, no. If you suck at dating in the real world, you're probably going to suck online.
But it's practice.
Yeah,
it's easier to practice on online dating.
Online dating, big old con, and I'll fully admit that I was this girl. It creates a lot of expectations and like false starts. No, this happens with both genders. It allows for a lot of room to imagine what someone is like before actually getting to know them. So you might get like 2 messages from a guy and like you've already built him in your head to be, this is it, this is it.
This is the one.
And then you start to do this like weird drawing in your head of filling in all the rosiness. You get like let down harder.
So try to be a little realistic when you online date.
Yeah, that's a con. Oh, the 3rd con, this isn't a con, but just you could stumble on stuff you didn't want to stumble on about people that you know. The takeaway con from that is that you can't isolate the real world from the online world. And people you know are going to stumble upon your profile. Just be aware that that's going to happen. You're probably going to get matched with friends.
That's another good reason why you should be honest and be self-reflecting in your profiles.
Yeah.
You don't want your friends coming across on your profile and being like,
you haven't had a writing job in like forever. Like, why are you saying, what are you doing?
What is a common mistake among female daters versus male daters?
I won't knock men for the selfies, but I think ladies tend to abuse it, and we all do it. Like, you look really good and like your makeup looks good and like the lighting looks good and you're like, oh my god, I'm gonna do a little like OkCupid photo shoot for myself.
Boom.
And
snap.
Yeah, and I think one of those,
okay, no, that's
good.
Fair. Yeah.
But when you can tell that someone did like a personal photo shoot while they were alone one night, like, shouldn't you have friends?
Just ask your girlfriend to take a photo.
Yeah, and don't go like too crazy on the filters. This one's a real one. Women, they talk about their body and their profile. Like, if you're like super fit and fitness is important to you and you're like super outdoorsy, that's different. But what I'm talking about is I feel like a lot of women like kind of load these apologies like into their profiles, and I'm like, what are you doing? Don't do that.
Right.
And this is maybe a controversial opinion, but I know on sites like OkCupid they list like what body type you are, and that sort of puts people in a weird position, because I think that I found like the profiles of some of my friends, and what they call themselves is not what they are.
Been there, seen that.
Yeah, leave it blank. Like the person's going to see you in real life, and they'll be able to figure out like if you're curvy or not.
You should have a full body, right?
Yeah, that's exactly it. Like in pictures, it should reflect how you honestly are, but beyond that, we don't need to talk about it.
Right.
I was totally one of these people where it's like, well, I can't date until I weigh this amount. I can't do this until, you know, my face looks like this. And you have to put that aside and pretend that it doesn't exist, and never, ever, ever write into your profile that, like, you're uncomfortable with yourself. But
well, if you're insecure with yourself, you know, it's like...
get over it.
Yeah, you don't need to blast it from the rooftops.
Yeah. This is super specific. There's nothing cute about you being a cat lady. And you might think that, like, oh, you're being funny about it. Like, you're not Tina Fey. Get over it. You're not Amy Poehler. Stop it. You being a cat lady just means that you own a cat. It doesn't say anything about you. It doesn't make you more interesting. It doesn't make you quirky. It just means you own a fucking cat, and hopefully you love cats. That's it. I feel like so many girls just like rest on the laurels like, I'm the quirky cat lady. There's nothing wrong.
Knitting.
There's nothing wrong with knitting and having cats, but when you make that your identity, if you think that's the thing that makes you interesting, you're wrong.
Okay, males.
Guys, you'd think it'd be the other way around, but like guys write way too much in their profiles. Like they write really long messages, like their whole life story and, you know, what they're looking for, and it's just like, too long, didn't read. Like,
You're like, next. What would you say the optimal length for a male message to a female should be?
3 sentences. Okay, put yourself in the mindset of someone receiving this message. If someone can't respond to that, put yourself in their position. Is there a question here? Could you answer it without feeling weird? Are there talking points? Is this like a conversation starter? Like each of those 3 sentences should be something that could be a launching point for that person to come back at you. Other things that guys do wrong. They put way too much emphasis on music and movies and other stupid bullshit. So what, you have that in common. Cool story, bro. But I think that like guys will fall in love with women because they like Rocky, and it's like, this shouldn't be the big thing. Oh! Unless you are a stand-up comedian, do not use your profile to like be testing out material. If it feels like you're testing out material and like you're just trying to seem like super, super funny, it's like you're trying too hard. There's a difference between being funny and like testing material. It's
cool.
not a good look for guys.
So that's solid.
3.
Words of wisdom for people who online date or people who are planning on online dating.
You should try to know who you are as best you can. You have to spend some time figuring out who yourself is in order to
Properly
be
date
that person. Yeah. My one real bit of advice is you might think that you're boring, but like I don't think there are truly boring people in this world. One really great way to make your profile stand out and to just make you stand out in life in general is to really think about the contradictions that exist within you. What are the parts about you that play against type? Like, what is the unexpected thing about you? You're really into makeup. You are also really into video games.
Boom!
That contradiction makes you interesting.
There you go. So just be honest with yourself and think about your own contradictions. Thank you so much. That was awesome. All right. Well, don't forget to check out Kristin's website. I will link to it in the comments and on the blog post and everything. But thank you so much.
Yeah.
And don't forget, if you want a consultation on your online dating profile, just go to the Craigslist post.
Do it.
And send it to her.
She'll
totally check it out for you.
And I'll be nice. Like, I'm nice.
Well,
I care. No, I care.
No, she does
a
care.
lot.
No.
I just hate a lot.
But she's also full of caring.
Yeah. Love.
Love and rage.
Yes. Oh my god. Love and rage.
That's your new
You
thing.
just discovered my thing. My brand. That's my brand.
That's your contradiction.
Yes.
Whatever. She like weightlifts all the time.
Right? Like, can't you? Yeah, no.
Hand dance. She finger dances.
Yeah. I'll like, yeah.
No, you're not.
He loves Arrested Development and like he listens to the shit. I don't like either of those things. He's like, fuck you. You're boring.
With you.